If we have to do it another day, you let me know. It's okay.
Please start.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to the International Internship University. I am so excited to be here with you today. We're going to be having a great discussion. This is one of part of the sessions that IIU has every day for you, for e-learners around the world. We're in 195 countries. We have more than 1,000 educators, and we have thousands of e-learners that every day learn like you and me with incredible topics, very incredible resources. We want to make sure that everybody has access to great education. We want to make sure that no matter in what corner of the world you are today, you can actually learn. You can have tuition-free education every single day. I just learned so much. I joined very recently. My name is Virginia Rivera, and I'm a team member. And I just joined very, very recently. And I have to say that the range of topics and the expertise of our resources is unmatched. Our founder, Piyush Pandit, has always had a vision to bring education to the student, not the student to the education. This is a virtual platform. It's the first university of its kind, and it is going global. Like I said before, we're in 195 countries, and we can make our entire globe very small so we can actually network, talk, and grow together. Our topic today is women in politics. I'm really, really excited that I was able to bring my mission in life to life here at IIU. Having women participate fully with all their expertise, all their talent, and everything that they bring to the world and their contribution is really one of the phenomenal things. Here at IIU, we're breaking barriers, we're causing a revolution. We are definitely the change. So, the topic today is one that I will be talking about in the future again. We're just going to be talking about it, and superficially, to see where we are and where we stand today when it comes to women in politics. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Here we go. So, why do we say that women in politics is the bright idea? As you know, our founder is a serial entrepreneur. His vision and mission goes way beyond India. He really has a plan for the world. But this world really has many people. And diversity would not be important if inclusion is not there. So when we speak about including women in all aspects of our lives and having them exert their leadership so they can contribute, it's a serious thing and it's serious business. So for us to really increment economy around the world, to really bring knowledge to all, we need to make sure that women are involved in everything. When we talk about women at IIU, we feel that and recognize that women's leadership and political potential and participation is vital for achieving gender equality and women's empowerment on a broader scale. It is a fundamental component that can bring about substantial positive change. Again, I'll repeat that. If we include everyone in the macro picture, it brings substantial change. Last time we spoke about women in economic empowerment. Today we want to speak about the people that will make the policies so women can be economically empowered. Because we know that when women are economically empowered, communities are empowered. And when communities are empowered, our countries are empowered. And empowered countries is an empowered world. And that is where we're going to. The impact of women's political participation is profound. By fostering women's meaningful participation in legislature and in Parliament, we can unlock a world of benefits. Not only does it promote greater security and stability globally, but it also generates a ripple effect that reverberates through families and communities. Join us today as we delve into the intricacies of what it really means women in politics. Together, let's learn, discuss, and become leaders and drive change. So, why is it important that there are more women political leaders? I've heard people say, well, you already have some women. Why are you still in the fight, in the struggle? Well, the truth is, the equal presence of women, their leadership, and their perspective in legislature and in parliaments and in Congress are essential to ensure that there's responsiveness to all global citizens. If we don't have women sitting at that table, we won't have topics discussed, policies taken apart, because there's nobody talking. How many times have we had a table full of men speaking about women's bodies and women's health? That is just plain wrong. So when we talk about women's representation, it is necessary to ensure that democracy functions as effectively as possible. What does this mean? If we don't have women representation, we will not be able to ensure that democracy is doing its full capabilities. Again, if women are not sitting at that table, if women are not sitting at that podium, we can't guarantee that we are being effective as a democratic country. Why do we need more women involved in all aspects of political process? This is just not as the head, or this is just not sitting in legislature. This is in every single aspect. We are not a minority. Women are half of the world's population. I'm going to repeat that again. I'm going to be saying this again and again. Women are not a minority. We are half of the world's population, and we are the mothers of the other half. So when you really think about it, the most important figure should be probably the one that touches every single human being in the world. For political institutions to be democratically legitimate and responsive to all their citizens, they must be inclusive of the plurality of the groups. They have to include all groups, all genders, all creeds, all races, all religions. Every single person should be represented, especially women. This requires a greater representation of women in national parliaments and broader diversity. And like I said before, diversity is nothing if it doesn't go hand in hand with inclusion. So where we're at right now is where we need to continue to grow and bloom and make sure that women are at the storefront of every single decision made politically. Why do we need more women involved in all aspects of political process? This is a question that we're going to continue to make throughout our entire presentation today. People's interests and priorities are often shaped by their respective social, economic, and ethnic differences. What does that mean? It means that we are going to put as priority and as interest the things that have surrounded us our entire life. So if I am not raised in a certain area, but I represent politically that area, I will not know what the needs are of those citizens. So we need to make sure that we include everyone. Female legislators belong to various backgrounds. They're not only rich women or poor women. When you have various diversity and different backgrounds, you can therefore bring a wide array of issues to the table for consideration and propose solutions accordingly. If we are all the same, if we all graduate with the same law degree from the same great universities, we are not bringing diversity to the table. Who are we helping then? This is a really important question that you need to make yourself. Furthermore, Any democratic nation or system benefits from having people from diverse backgrounds and life experiences that represent everybody in all political institutions. Again, I can't reinforce enough that graduating from a certain university with a certain degree does not guarantee that you're going to be a great politician. What does guarantee that you're going to do the political responsibilities for your government and for your constituency is making sure that you have diversity of people. When we have everybody represented, it enables us to draw on the full array and the capacity and the skills of our population in shaping policies that would really help everyone. When we talk about parliament and we talk about Congress and we talk about legislature, we're talking about acts and policies and laws. If these all look the same, they're not meant for everybody. So we need to make sure that they all are different because we have different people putting them together. Why don't we have equal participation today after everything that I've explained to you? You would think that we would already know that women have to be in every conversation, and not just one, not just two, equal amounts of conversations, of opinions should be at that table. But why don't we have equal participation? Number one, stereotypical minds. What is a stereotype? A stereotype, let me give you an example, is women wear pink, women are delicate, and women do housework. That's a stereotype. When we bring those stereotypes into our conversations, our important conversations, we are limiting the benefits for everybody. Politics has unfortunately always been considered a dirty business and is full of unhealthy competition. So for many people, this is not suitable for women. This is suitable for men. Again, as women, we are pure, we are good, we're pink, we do house chores, households, we nurture. We don't really see women as strong characters that can really be involved in politics, but they can because politics are not dirty. People bring that to the table. But politics itself is not a dirty word. Politics is necessary in every country and every government. It is believed that the field requires hardship, strength. So politics have been portrayed as something that is full of greed. Again, we associate that with men. We associate that with dirt, with dirty, with scoundrels. And the truth is that politics is nothing further from that. Further, the stereotypical mindset of the society that makes men the rulers and women being submissive, that is going to continue to follow us everywhere if we don't put a stop to it. So this is what we're thinking. Men rule, women follow. We all know that that is not true. The gender role associated with men and women has been one of the major reasons behind less participation of women. We need to sabotage that. We need to eradicate that thought. We need to start thinking that we are just as smart, just as prepared, and we all have the strength and the courage to lead our countries. The role of managing household activities has been just given to women. We don't even see our sons as the leaders in their household to manage chores. We see our girls. And that is just plain wrong. So when you have a boy and you have a girl, this is the time to really continue to think progressively and cause change. Household chores should be for everyone, not just for women. Women should be encouraged to move outside their stereotypical roles, the ones that you think that they should have, and participate in the decision-making process of our country. This is probably one of the most important things you're going to listen today. Women should be encouraged We need to push our women because we haven't done it before to be part of this process. Another reason why women don't participate in politics or in government is economic conditions. The political participation of people is also determined by the economic condition of their families. In many, many countries, we are still dictated by last names, by castes, and most importantly, by education legacy. The truth is that we can't really help everyone if those are the only people that we're selecting our pool from. There has to exist an appropriate knowledge and sociological environment to political motivation. We need to have people that have wanted, that have needed, that have seen, that have experienced other situations in lives that may not necessarily prosper economic conditions. Nonetheless, what they bring is really what we need. So when we consider that only attorneys, law students, students from good families can actually become political people or political personalities, we are really doing a huge disservice to our communities and to our world. The cultural, economic, and sociological background of a person greatly affects political participation. We have never thought that a stay at home mom should be working in government or be a politician. But you know what? She should. She knows better than anyone else what really goes on into our citizens' homes. She has a finger on the button that tells us what to improve so the lives of our people can improve. And if their lives improve, our communities improve. And if our communities improve, our countries improve. Women are confined to their homes, and the major decisions of her life are usually taken by her father, her brother, or her husband. And let me repeat this. In 2023, women are usually, even if they're allowed to get a loan and to buy a home, they're usually asked, where is your husband? Where's your father? Where's your brother? And I'm talking about 2023, the United States of America. So we have to change that. And the only way we can start changing is if we are involved, if women become part of this conversation. Another reason that women are not participating fully in politics is because of a lack of financial control. Women lack financial support, and financial control is not in their hands. So they really can't make decisions when it comes to where they're going to stand when it comes to elections. Even if she earns and brings money to the home, even when the money is hers, many times it's controlled by the male members of her family. Many times today in 2023, they think that we are not smart enough to manage our budget, our household budget, our bank accounts, and financial decisions. For some strange reason, people still think that men's gray matter is smarter than women's. I beg to differ. The most important, amazing discoveries around the world have been made by women. So don't let anybody tell you that you're not smart because you're a woman. Thus, she lacks control of her own money. So when she doesn't make decisions on her money, she lacks control over her money. So she can't really decide who she's going to support and how she's going to get involved. So let's talk a little bit about women as head of countries. To date, there have been only 63 countries since 1960 where a woman has held the highest position of executive power. Also 70 women, just 70 women, 63 countries, 70 women. The first and the only female to be elected as a prime minister of her country, Indira Priyadarshini Gandhi, is an inspiration for women in India and all over the world. She served 3 consecutive terms as the prime minister of her country. She also served as a prime minister from 1980 to 1984. After, unfortunately, she was assassinated. I would say because she was a woman. She has some major accomplishments to her name, which shaped the nation that is led today. After Joe Biden was declared as the winner of the 2020 presidential election in the United States, the next focus was on Kamala Harris, For the first time, Kamala Harris has been elected as the first female to act as Vice President of the United States. We are on the route to have our first female president. The world's youngest prime minister, Sanna Marin, was appointed as the Prime Minister of Finland in December 2019. Sanna Marin challenged sexism in decision-making powers for the country, which has been dominated for men by years, for many, many, many years. In the wake of the corona pandemic, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, and I have to say a personal favorite of mine, received appreciation from all over the globe for making incredible progress in the country by controlling the coronavirus there. She made decisions. She did things differently. I have to say that I live in sunny Puerto Rico, a little island in the Caribbean. We, at the time of the pandemic, had a governor, a female governor. We were not impacted negatively by the pandemic because this female governor took action immediately. She knew innately what to do in order to protect her fellow men. She did not think about, is this going to make big interests mad? She did not think, is this going to make the big corporations upset? No, she thought, how do I protect my people? That is what we do as mothers every day. She took action, and thank God for that. We were not affected adversely. We lost lives, but it could have been so much worse if she had not acted swiftly. And I have to say, it was because she was a woman. Another stereotype-defined woman leader was Golda Meir, who was Prime Minister of Israel when war erupted in 1973. She was also known for really weird quotes like, women's liberation is just a lot of foolishness. It's the men who are discriminated against because they can't bear children. Obviously, we know that that decision was not made lightly. We as women did not choose to be the caregivers and the ones who bring life to the world. That was chosen by a higher power because they knew what women can do. In Pakistan, Benazir Bhutto, daughter of a former prime minister, became the first woman to lead a Muslim majority country. So as you can see, yes, we have grown. Yes, we have advancements, but we still have so much to do. So why is it important for us to have women in politics and in government and in legislature and in Congress and in parliament? Because women legislate differently. I'm going to repeat that again. Women legislate differently. Just like we all like to say that women and men are different, what we look for is that they have the same human rights. Nonetheless, we all recognize that we are different. And that is what brings diversity. That is what brings inclusion to the table. So how do women legislate differently? Since 1995, the world has made great strides toward achieving gender equality. We're not there yet, but we're going there. Over the last 10 years, 131 countries have passed 274 legal reforms in support of gender equality. These include laws towards eliminating violence against women, childcare, and universal health care. Research indicates that these achievements have coincided with an increased number of female legislators around the world. Again, these topics, these policies that were approved had never surfaced before women were in that table. Women were participating as legislators. So this is what we bring to the table. One of the reasons for this is because women legislate differently compared to men. Even when women appear to be in limited numbers and economic and political dynamics make it a little more difficult for women to participate, findings suggest, and these are studies suggest, that women still legislate differently by placing a greater priority on human rights. We care more about healthcare. We care more about access to education. We care more about living dignified. We care more about freedom. We care more about abolishing human trafficking. These are things that affect humans. So we're not really, and we can do it, but we take care of humans first before thinking that we want to go to Mars. If we still have hungry people, if we still have millions of people that die from a single disease that can be cured with one little pill, but we have men that are concerned about going to Mars, we still have a problem, and a very serious one at that. A recent study found that female representation in national parliaments or Congress does lead countries to adopt more stringent climate change policies. So this is really important. Not too long ago here at IIU, we had Environmental Day. And once again, we heard how important and how we were in dire need. It was an emergency situation to really take action to protect our planet, to really take measures to help, more than anything, relieve climate change. Studies show that when women are legislators, they're in parliaments and they're in Congress, these policies happen. These policies really do get fostered, get nurtured, and get passed. So this is one of the things that makes us so important to participate in politics. So how many women are in executive government positions around the world? As of January 1st, 2023, there are 31 countries where 34 women serve as head of states or government. So we have 31 countries where 34 women serve as the top, the big honcho, the big boss. At the current rate, gender equality in the highest positions of power will not be reached for another 130 years. I'm going to be silent for one moment. We're going to have to wait 130 years in order for us to achieve gender equality in the highest positions around the world. That deserves a minute of silence, but it also deserves a decision to encourage our women to participate in politics. Just 17 countries have a woman head of state, and 19 countries have a woman head of government. First time compiled data by the UN Women show that women represent 22.8% of cabinet members heading ministries, leading a policy area as of January 23rd. There are only 13 countries in which women hold 50% or more of these positions. And when I talk about, remember, in democracies, it's not one person that rules. It's not a monarchy. It's not a dictatorship. One person does not make the law. It is a body of people, and the body of people are these cabinets, right? So if we are not 50%, then we are not really being equal. And our issues and the things that we bring to the table are not being addressed because we're not there. So this is why it is so important to know these numbers. The 5 most commonly held portfolios by women cabinet ministers are women and gender equality, family and children affairs, social inclusion, and development, social protection, and social security, and Indigenous and minority affairs. These are the areas that are usually allotted to us. Everything else is not a woman's deal. Somebody else will make that decision. So we're still getting the decisions made for families, for minorities, for social protection and social security. But we're not really talking about oil, arms, nuclear. These are topics that could definitely change the face of the earth. And this is where we need to be. At the current rate of progress, gender parity in national legislative bodies will not be attained until 2060. That is ridiculous. Women in executive government positions. Women hold 36% of parliamentary seats in Latin America and the Caribbean. Puerto Rico is part of the Caribbean, but we're part of the United States. And make up 32% of parliamentarians in Europe and Northern America. In sub-Saharan Africa, there are 26% of women legislators, followed by Eastern and Southern Eastern Asia with 22%. Oceania, which is Australia, with 20%, Central and Southern Asia with 19%, and Northern Africa and Western Asia with 18%. So as you can see, when we're talking about 100%, we're talking here the highest 26%. And in the Caribbean and Latin America, 32%, but we're not at 50 yet. One thing about Latin America is leading globally in local and parliamentary positions held by women. But the journey to political participation is fraught with rising violence and intimidation. So we may be there, but we're still being intimidated. They still want to drop us. In the age of Me Too, and if you don't know what Me Too is a movement that started in the United States where we brought down powerful men that used sex to get power. And we put them in jail. And women came forth. But in this time and this age, we bring you the voices of Latin American women who are raising their voices so high and running for office against all odds. I am very proud to say that I'm a Latin American woman, that I come from a Latin American country in the Caribbean. And yes, we are very much involved. And this is part of our mission. Around the globe, progress has sustained and has been achieved. There are more women legislators than ever before, so that's very, very good news. Over the last 20 years, the proportion across the globe increased from 19% in 2000 to 25% in 2020. So as you can see, we have grown. In Africa, the number of women legislators increased from 11 to 24%. That is great. And in Arab states, we have witnessed a significant increase from 3% now to 17. So in the past 25 years, it has grown a bit, but we're still lagging behind. Women are now serving in parliamentary speakers across all regions of the world. And this is really important, except in the Pacific. We need to look into that. So how do we expand participation? How do we go about really becoming involved and really expanding women in government? Balanced political participation and power sharing between women and men in decision making is the internal, and it's what we have decided to agree upon when it comes to the Beijing Declaration and the platform for action. So this has already been discussed at the global level. Is it being reinforced? That is what we need. We need that reinforcement. While most countries in the world are not achieving yet gender parity or gender quotas, we can say that we are growing. We can say that women are participating. We can say that women's representation is 5%, and that's it. And 7 percentage points higher in parliaments. So we still need to get ahead. We're participating, but we still need more participation. There's established and growing evidence that women's leadership in political decision-making processes improves them. For example, we have seen, and I apologize for my pronunciation because I'm not from India, but for example, research on panchayats, local councils in India discovered that the number of drinking water projects in areas with women-led councils was 60% higher than in those that were led by men. In Norway, a direct causal relationship between the presence of women and municipal councils and child coverage was found. Okay, so let me explain this a little bit. So what we have seen around the world is that when women participate in these councils, when they are actually voting, things change. And things that are important, like childcare. We could never really work and have a career if we don't really have policies in place for childcare. No, women are not supposed to take care of kids. Families are. Both people that made that child. A woman did not make the child by herself, right? So it's only unfair that she would have to take care of it by herself. And you can say, well, the man is a provider. In today's world, in the majority of the countries, to have one salary is just not enough. We both have to work. But not only that, what makes you think that the moment that we have a child, our contribution to the world is faded, or a purpose, or we're no longer smart, or we no longer want to actually be professionals? One thing should never have to do with the other. Women should be able to participate just as fully as men in anything that they want. And men should be able to participate just as fully as women in all household activities. You're not less of a man if you are participating at home. Actually, you're more of a man for me. So women demonstrate political leadership by working across party lines through parliamentary women's caucuses, even in the most politically combative environments, and by championing issues of gender equality, such as the elimination of gender-based violence, parental leave, childcare, pensions, gender equality laws, and electoral reform. I'm going to stop here right now about violence. Men should never, ever, and I'm going to say it again, men should never have the right to be violent at home, with their families, or with their wives. Let me explain this again. In no country, no country, women become a husband's slave when she gets married. It happens, but it's not law. We need to reinforce the laws that protect women. That is why we need more women participating, and we need more men that become advocates of women. So this conversation is very, very important. Where are we exactly now? What are we doing? And this is Kamala Harris, first Vice President of the United States. Despite these gains, the things that I've talked about that we've improved in, women rarely hold leadership roles. Progress towards achievements, gender, and a gender balance are still so behind. By the dawn of 2020, women were leading just 20 of 193 nations. And like I told you earlier today, 31 women in 2023. And they're occupying a quarter of parliamentary seats globally. In 2023, it's 32%. So as you can see, there's margin for growth. There's margin to narrow that gap. And the only thing I can say is we all benefit when we're all there. That is why women belong in politics. Global female representation is still very low. And I have to say, we're at the critical mass point that if female legislators do not continue to participate, the majority of the laws that we have brought forth will be derogated, will be eliminated. That is happening in the United States right now. Women had grown a lot when it came to human rights, especially rights over our bodies. Because our supreme justices are now overly men and not women, many of the laws that protected us around the United States are no longer there. Terrible things are happening here in this country, and it's because we need to have more representation. And I have a feeling that this is happening all over the world. So why do you need to encourage yourself, your daughters, your neighbors, your nieces, your granddaughters to get involved? It's because we need a sustainable world for all. And if we continue to live in the world that we live in today, it's not going to be sustainable for us. So where are we exactly? Women occupy only a quarter of the parliamentary seats across the world. That's a stark reminder of the pervasive and the persisting nature of gender inequality. It is also indicative of the power dynamics that we still have in our societies. Sir Piyush Pandit just opened St. James International School in India, a tuition-based free school for girls and boys. If his vision of 100 schools around the world come to fruition, this will definitely change. Bringing education to women, bring education to girls really helps us level the bar, really helps us become equals. I was talking about uniforms. and how important it is as kids for all of us to wear the same thing. It's an equalizer, so we don't have to worry about girls dress a certain way or boys dress another way. We should just concentrate on brain power and really making sure that the entire potential of that little human is brought to the world and their contribution is also coming forward. There's something called the reservation bill around the world. This is a bill, a law that should be passed, where in many countries, there's an appropriate representation of women. And it's sort of like a law. It's meant that women should be there. There's spaces that are meant for women. In Bolivia's electoral law, it was mandatory to have 50% of women on the political parties list. Similar laws have been formulated in many other different countries of the world. Again, so the reservation bill says that we cannot hold our elections if we don't have equal participation. This is something that is growing slowly, but is growing. And this is really important because we need to acknowledge that 50% of women should be taking participation in all of these processes. The reservation bill for women is passed, and if implemented wisely around the world, it would affect our democracy tremendously. Women would have a say in the decision-making process, which will help our vibrant democracy grow. And I'm talking about a democratic world. I'm talking a world where it's not one person who makes a decision. It's not one man who makes a decision. It's a compilation of people coming together from different backgrounds, different education, different know-hows, different experiences to really look out for every single global citizen. I love to look at this picture. We see women politicians, representative from all walks. And this is key, and this is important. And this is the world that we want to see. Democracy needs people from every sector so that they can actually be adequately represented. The world has seen a lot of crimes against women, and there are a lot of women issues, which can only be adequately understood from a woman's standpoint. Like I said before, it is a very sad day to see a table full of men making decisions over women's bodies. That's a very sad day, and that happens every single day. We need to have women making decisions over things that affect women. That is why we need to all participate, and we have to vote and bring women into the political forefront so they can be part of government. They can be part of the important decisions. The misogynist mindset, and misogynist is a person who thinks that men are superior to women. This mindset has to be done away with by not keeping women confined within the walls of gender-specific role stereotypes. Women were not just born to be housewives, childcare, elder care, secretaries, assistants. We were born, just like men, to be leaders, to contribute to the world that we live in. We have witnessed women in politics who have shown excellence in leadership and have led countries towards success. Efforts should continue to be made to educate and enlighten young girls about politics and entering the political arena. My wish for little girls in James International Schools is that they have a political science class early on, that they participate in debate teams, that they participate in student government, so they can realize how important their voice is, how important it is to bring your voice and your conversation to the table. And if you're not invited to that table, bring your own folding chair. This is a moment to act. This is a moment to really be generous. This is a moment to really look for advocates and men. There are great men out there, men that realize that if we're going to improve the world that we live in, we need to bring everybody in. This is why this topic is so, so important and why we need more women in politics. It's time to get involved. Here at IIU, we truly believe and what women bring to the table. We recognize that women's participation and their leadership is part of the success of the university today. I have to say that we have an incredible team of women led departments. You need to look at the body of a company to know what its culture is. IIU, 195 countries around the world, has equal opportunities for women and for men. I have to say that my fellow team members are amazing. These women, Dr. Snigdha, Professor Nada, Professor Anju, Dr. Inga. I mean, these are women that I take my hand, and I know there's so many more that I'm getting to know right now. But these are the women that have embraced me as I join. And the founder, Sir Piyush Pandit, he also embraces this. He truly believes in women's equality. And I think that that is something that is really dignified to emulate all around the world. So I do hope that whoever was here with us today, morning, evening, or afternoon around the world, that you've really listened to the importance of having women in politics. We will have more sessions on women in politics. We'll get more involved in policy and in laws. But for now, I just wanted you to have an idea of what we're doing and how we're progressing and how we are contributing around the world and how still we are not narrowing the gap, but we're putting our efforts through. But with your help, with your participation, with your encouragement, more women will participate. And if we have a balanced world where everybody participates, we're going to have a future that is sustainable for all of our children and grandchildren. So I bid you goodbye. I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart how important it is to have these spaces so we can actually educate and bring light to people that don't really know a lot of this. To know how we participate as women in politics around the world is really, really important. And I hope that this information was as important to you as it was for me. I am very, very excited for the future. I truly believe that we can create change. And I know that we can definitely can. So let me close this right now. So thank you again for being with us here today. Follow us every single day in social media, but also in our IIU Facebook page and on YouTube, where you can see all of these again repeated for your benefit. Thank you for all that supported me. Thank you for this amazing team. I am truly blessed and very grateful. Have all a great day.